Hey everybody and welcome back, hope you're keeping well. Today's video is a really important one because it always gets overlooked, the fishing industry. Now, it's estimated that we kill over 2.7 trillion wild caught fish and around 40 to 120 billion farmed fish each year for food. Now, our oceans make up to 70% of the surface area on planet Earth. Just think about that for a second, 70%. Now, we actually know more about space than we do on our oceans. Now, we tend to forget about the oceans because we're land animals and we spend most of our time here, but the oceans play a major role in buffering CO2 from the atmosphere, regulating the weather and the climate patterns, and they produce over half of the world's oxygen, so it's funny that we're really disconnected from them. I want to explain to you why buying fish is not a better option than buying meat, dairy and eggs, and explain to you how removing fish from your diet removes you from supporting this monstrous industry which has really devastating impacts on our oceans. Now, I know most people watching this video right now will be completely against whales being hunted or sharks being killed for shark fin soup, but will still eat other fish. Now, in this video, I would like to enlighten you about the fishing industry and hope to shift your perspective. Let's see what we can do. Since the sales of meat and dairy have declined over the past 10 years as veganism has taken its toll, what has happened is people have decided to reduce their meat intake or cut it out completely and opted in for buying more fish because it seems to be the healthier option, or people somehow think fish are less sentient, so therefore it's more justified. It seems due to humans living in this world from the perspective of I, the ego, alienates oneself from other beings as equals. Like, why would we be on top of this world because we deem to know more than everyone else, or we think that we have evolved more than everyone else, which therefore justifies us being savages? In our world, that's how we are thinking because we are living from the perspective of I. But what makes you think that other beings are not living from the perspective of I as well? And in terms of capabilities, dolphins can communicate through sonar, clownfish, through carrying both female and male reproductive organs, have the ability to change sex. And sharks can sniff out 1 part blood for every 1 million parts of water. That's like the same as being able to smell 1 teaspoon of something in a swimming pool. So it's crazy the capacity of what other beings can do, but we can't. Nature is completely amazing, and for us to say that we are on top and not symbiotic is a bit of a ridiculous statement. Now, we wouldn't be here without nature, but nature would. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, fish are just doing their own little thing, and it just seems right to grant them their basic right of living. So let's quickly check out the impacts fishing has on our environment. Despite the mass overfishing which is causing our oceans to become emptier and emptier, disrupting the natural ebb and flow of the whole food chain. When we buy fish, we promote and encourage all of the negative factors that comes from fishing, like water pollution from all sorts of marine traffic, the dumping of waste, and dumped fishing gear from thousands of fish boats all across the oceans. Habitat destruction through bottom trawling, or known as dragging, which is towing a large weighted net the same size as a football field at the very bottom of the ocean that effectively crushes everything in its path. It is reported that 90% of a coral colony perishes and up to 2/3 of sponges are damaged. Also, from this study in 2012 found that trawling altered the chemistry and geology of soft sediment habitats, impacting the function of these ecosystems. And of course, bycatch of different species like sharks, dolphins, turtles, and many more who end up in the nets not designed for them, end up being injured, killed, or dumped back in the ocean, often drowning. As you can see, there are a host of problems, and I've only stated a few of the very many. Now, what's interesting to me is to see these massive organizations like WWF dedicating their whole life protecting our environment, the animals living in our habitats, and working towards restoring our ecosystems, but seem to have this double standard or hypocritical stance on some areas in their work. For example, they understand the level of the impact fishing is having on our environment and are working towards reversing this, but it always seems to stop at the sustainable part. As you can see here, their mission is to invest in a sustainable blue economy, having the priority of making fisheries sustainable, keeping healthy populations of fish in the sea, and minimizing impacts on habitats and other species. Well, hold on a minute, why don't we just stop dragging fish out of the sea and let the oceans restore themselves naturally? It's not like we do this to the critically endangered land animals like elephants, rhinos, and tigers. That would be like WWF saying, hold on guys, we're going to stop all of this illegal wildlife trade, but we're still going to have some organized poaching so we can still have some of the animals for our furniture and decorations. Like this would never happen. So why is this happening with our oceans? It kind of goes back to what I said earlier of how we're more disconnected with, the ocean and sea life in comparison to elephants, rhinos, and tigers being poached and killed for body parts because we see them as more iconic. The point to take away from this is that we see these massive organizations saying you can eat one but not the other. But surely it's better just to allow the animals to do what they do and we do what we do, so we can live symbiotically with them and our ecosystems and flourish that way. Not slaughtering trillions and trillions of beings and sparing some because we see others as more iconic. So you've purchased some fish and you've supported the torture and slaughter, you've paid your amendments to, some damage of the oceans and the ecosystems, so what's next? The process of what you actually put in your mouth. A long time ago, fish was deemed to be a really great health food, having high amounts of omega-3, high amounts of protein, and lots of amino acids. Thank you for science and the way we treat our fish and our oceans. Vegans have another great excuse to give to people to stop eating it, and that is that you can never ever control the level of toxins of what you buy. For example, mercury found in the oceans is released from burning fossil fuels and works its way up the food chain, accumulating in the adipose tissue of the fish. This harmful toxin is associated with having brain problems, high blood pressure and bad LDL cholesterol, which is basically a buildup of plaque in your arteries, resulting in the condition known as atherosclerosis. We also have PCBs, viruses and diseases, and of course microplastics. Besides that, if you're worried about not getting enough omega-3 from your plant-based diet, then supplement yourself with a high quality algae supplement, without the risk of contamination, and all of the other factors is the way forward. If you're thinking, but yeah, that's going to be really expensive, how can I afford that? If we work out how much fish costs, I think you'll be surprised. Let's just say you consume 3 servings, 150 grams each per week from this 1 kilogram of salmon fillet. That will give you around 6.6 servings, so just under 2 weeks supply. In total, for a month's supply, you would definitely need to buy yourself another kilogram. So that 2 kilograms of salmon for about 13 servings comes in at £30. If you go to vivolife, an amazing plant-based supplement company who have all of their products third-party tested for heavy metals and contaminants, you can even check out their lab results right here on their website. Their omega-3 supplement will give you a month's supply or 30 servings of algae for only £22, and you can top up your omega-3 levels in the form of EPA and DHA every day alongside your ALA from all of your healthy nuts, seeds and soy. So if you're angry at people hunting whales and killing sharks, then you're already thinking as a vegan. It's clear to me that you do have empathy for these animals, and all it takes is for you to make better choices when you shop. The supply and demand chain is something that we do have control over, unlike other systems where we have none. Buying fish is not a better option than buying meat, dairy and eggs. The fishing industry is destroying our oceans, pulling out trillions of fish each year, impacting our habitats and our ecosystems, the list goes on. Just to leave you guys with a video from Joey Carbstrong on the ways we violate fish. It's a really informative video which explains how we artificially inseminate fish to breed them, and there are a few other things in there which I have not explained in this video, so please check that one out if you can. I'll put it in the description box below. Thank you very much for watching my video. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.